Net is on every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Catch up with the latest ATV news, see the latest television projects, shack layouts and much more. A good time to ask questions about amateur television. We use local 2-meter liaison frequency FM simplex 147.400 MHz and Berwick repeater 439.375 MHz. Every Tuesday starting 8 p.m.
Good day and welcome to the 202nd ATV Net. Excuse me. And tea, cold tea, love it. Well, yes, my name's Ian and my call sign is VK3 Quebec Lima. I'm standing in this evening for our regular ATV net controller, Neil, VK3 BCU, and yes, I'm funnable through it. You've caught me in my test laboratory with some of the more mature aged equipment on view at the back there. So it's all good fun. What was I? Oh yes, I think that was all I was going to do now. The first person we thought we might come up with is cut across to RTV1 with Peter, VK3 BFG, to give us a rundown of what he's been working on in the workshop, and then we'll go to Richard, VK3 VRS, and unless there's some other check-ins on RTV1, we will then, if Richard could pass it back to myself, and I'll continue the run call on what we call a Channel 2. If you're watching on YouTube, the switching is all done for you, and if you're watching on, this is me looking at the stream. I don't see it running at the moment. Sometimes the BATC stream is operating under, yes it is, under VK3IE. And of course there's Discord, don't let me forget Discord. And so there's a number of avenues to watch this net. And also there is a recording on my YouTube channel. With a bit of luck I might be able to bring up a slide, which is up for a few weeks after the fact. That's VK3 Quebec Lima is the name of the YouTube channel. All right. Let's I see the banner for Peter, so I'll cut across to the banner. If you'd like to, if you're set-top boxing, switch to channel channel 1, and we will in due course see Peter. This is VK3 Quebec Lima passing the baton on to Peter.
Well, good evening everyone. I'm Peter, VK3 BFG in One Turner South, fairly sunny One Turner South actually. This afternoon I did some tower work. I had the tower down and right down to the ground, and relashed in some cables. Yeah, working on a lead is a bit of a problem, but I think I managed it okay. But after that I came into the lounge room, had a little bit of a nap actually. Oh dear, never mind. Also been talking with Jim W6PQL over the week, and you know, I've been reconstructing the PA that failed, and a replacement fit is about 160 US. So I emailed Jim and said, well, you know, how much would it cost for you to just heat sweat another onto our existing PCB and heap spreader, and test it as well. And he came back with a figure of 250, which I thought was pretty good. So we'll have to look at, see what's in the bank. I think we can probably just about manage that, but that might be the end of it, but it'll still be worthwhile. We would have then a fully functional 500 watt PA with the ability of about 50 milliwatts of drive, or even less, probably about 15 milliwatts to produce significant amount of power. So it would be, the bottom line, if we wanted to, it would be very saleable. So I think it's probably worth doing. So we'll correspond with Jim and see how we can arrange that. All right. Over the week I came across some little devices, and you know what AliExpress is like. They're always sending you emails saying you might like this and you might like that. half the time you go click, click, click. But this time it came up with this little device, which I thought was pretty good. I bought a couple of them. It's a USB supply from 12 volts, or pretty much any volts really. So above 5 volts would do the job, and it's got, you see there, it's got 4 USB outputs. So ever increasingly now we get little devices. I just got some nice splitters for RTV, some very nice splitters actually, just 2 ways, and they run on a USB supply, or 5 volts basically. So yeah, handy little device I thought. Pretty much that's all I've got, except that, look at this behind me. That is my porch down, and you can see that it's just displaying sort of a white screen with some stripes on it. It will boot up maybe one time in about 30 or 40 or 50 times, but at the moment it's looks as though it's not good. So I'm not quite sure whether the Raspberry Pi's got its software contaminated. Probably is the case. Hopefully anyway, because a few of us, like Neil, has prompted me to get 447 going with 333 kilohertz kilosymbols per sec, which is narrowband stuff, and of course that at that symbol rate you get a better power density, and the signals can be where impossible sort of on wideband is possible on narrowband. So yeah, look, I think it's a good thing. I'm also going to reorganise the shack, and I'm in the middle of doing that, to put some other things in place. So I want to be able to run 6 meters and either 447, you know, fairly easily. And I think I'll use a mini tuner receiver, which I hadn't been doing before. I've been using the NACA, which is DVB-T only. I think the mini tuner is only DVB-S, but DVB-S is or S2 is a better option for point-to-point anyway. It's much more robust, and you've got about an 8 dB difference between the 2 signals there. So yeah, I might not worry about the DVB-T. Anyway, that's it for tonight for me. So I think it's over to Richard. So Richard, this is VK3BFG. You'll see my call sign, and hopefully you'll be running behind me on 1246.
And look at that, the system works. Very good. That ought to be a bit of fun for you, Peter. Playing around on 6 metres, something that I want to do too. I'm pretty sure that's HF, isn't it? 6 metres? Pretty close anyway. Be the lowest band that I operate on, apart from 2 metres. So, yes, all right. So I had a little bit of spare time, and I was able to actually edit up part 2 of Bendigo. So I've got that in the can, ready to go. But before I do, you might notice both sides of me there. I've got some barcode or some QR codes. That one there is for Discord. So if you hover your camera over that on your phone, you can get onto Discord. And that one's for the Facebook group that I started some time ago, and we haven't really pushed it. There's 16 members there, but it's not really active. But it could be a great resource for everyone around the world to be able to communicate with the group. So please sign up to them. Obviously, I know we're all our group, so, and it's open for anyone around the world. So yes, please do that. And that would be good. Discord, we currently got 3 viewers, and Ian's YouTube, there is 24. I'm not sure if Rob's running his stream, but I haven't looked. I haven't looked at BATC. And I've got 2 viewers on my YouTube as well. So hello everyone. Big hello to Paul, who I had quite a long chat with last night. Good to see you watching on Discord. So can't wait till you're actually transmitting as well. So, but Friday will be the important thing before that, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So first of all, what I want to do is just show a couple of things for people who aren't really aware. Make a video. Yep. So a lot of us are using to get our pictures onto the repeater. We're actually using, instead of a hardware mixer, we're actually using a software mixer. And there's 2 varieties that are used. The first one is vMix. The vMix is a paid version, but it's extremely powerful. The beauty is it's the company is actually Australian, believe it or not, and it's based in Queensland, and it's right around the world. It's being used everywhere, not just for YouTubers and not just for ATVers, but everywhere. It's used extensively throughout broadcast as well, so it's quite big. You can download it, as you can see here. You can download it and give it a try for free. You get 60 days, and that's the full version. It's really quite impressive software. I use it quite a lot. So if you want any tips or anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'm quite happy to help you out with doing a quick rundown or trying a few things. And there was a recent update which has added some new features. There's also a desktop catcher program that you can also, it's like an add-on for it, which works quite well. There's different versions available. There's the basic, very limiting, but it's okay for a streamer, someone who's just doing a short YouTube channel and they don't really want to do that much. I'd recommend for us that you go to at least the HD version, which is the next level up, because that'll give you 1,000 inputs and 4 overlays. Now, if you're wondering what overlays are, well, I'm using the overlays, and that's how I'm putting the QR codes there. So I can actually turn them on and off. As you can see, that's how you switch in an overlay like that. yeah, and you got a lot of features. If you're really keen and you really get into it and you want to get even more features, things like vMix call and a whole lot of other features that you may or may not use, then you could go up to the 4K. Not too sure if you want to invest quite that much money to have not a lot of extra features that would be handy for us, but definitely the HD or the 4K would be the go. The second option that you've got is people have heard of OBS, and you hear us talking about OBS. It's actually called Open Broadcaster Software Studio is the actual full term. So it's available for Windows and Mac and Linux. By the way, vMix is only available in Windows, but it's very, very similar. In this, it's free. There is a little bit more configuring to do, and it takes a little bit more work to understand it, but it is actually quite easy to do. I've actually used both, so yeah, it's no problems at all, and I've helped people use this as well quite successfully. Even people who aren't that computer literate can actually use it. Now, the other thing is, when you see people putting videos together, you can use vMix or OBS to actually create a video if you so desire. You've got, as you can see, you've got a recording mode, and both of them have recording modes. A little bit harder to get those beautiful transitions and whatnot that you would normally have with a editor, but you can do it if you need to. Me personally, I use a program called DaVinci Resolve. It's actually made by Blackmagic Design, another Australian company. So this one's based in Melbourne though. So they started off as just colorists that used to do professional colouring for the movie industry, and then they've progressed. They've got not only DaVinci Resolve, so you've got a free version, which I use. You've also got a buy version one, which has a lot more features, which I can't even use all the features that are in the free one. So you don't need it, but it is probably one of the biggest now. There are plenty out there, editors, but yeah, this one's made a lot of ground. It's come a long way. I was using it in its infancy. I think I first found it when it was at version 4 or 5, and it was quite rough back then, but it has grown into just a phenomenal program. As a normal user, you'll probably never use all the features. It does the lot, and as you can see here, you've got an area where you can put all your media, so you can see what you need for your production. You can do a quick rough cut, then you can edit the timeline fully. Then there's this program called Fusion, which is basically special effects, so that's where you can do all your special effects. Then there's the Colorist, which is what they're famous for. Then there's Fairlight, so that's a full audio editing suite. A lot of people have used Audacity. And then there's the section called Deliver, where it does all the rendering after you've completed your project. The beauty of it too is you can actually do this network, so multiple people can be working on the same timeline. It's incredible what it can do. There's a lot more about it. I'm far from an expert on it. I don't have the time to invest in it, but I have found the new version that's just been released has a neural engine, and it's got AI built into it to help you actually edit. Wow, it is really taking in, to the next level. So I'm looking forward to finding out a little bit about that but when I've got some more time. Now, Blackmagic also make a whole lot of hardware as well, and their cameras and editing suites are actually quite well renowned throughout the whole movie industry as the top of the range stuff. And there's the Fairlight, which is the audio editing, and that's the editing desk that Blackmagic actually make. So it's it's incredible what they've got. But you can just start off with a PC or a laptop with a couple of speakers, and you can edit away. Mine's a little bit more sophisticated than that, but I do actually have it on my laptop too. So yeah, so there's some ideas, and there's some more options for bits and pieces. So I just thought I'd give everyone a bit of a, and by the way, there's our Facebook group. If anyone wants to come up with a fantastic graphic for our group, I would love to see it, and we can put it up there and that can represent us. So maybe that's something that people might be able to come up with, and send it my way, and I can put it on. So anyway, just thought I'd give people a bit of an insight as to software that is used for both editing and also for the production of what we're doing right now. So all good fun. Now, so I can remember how to do this. Yep, I've got a black screen. So sit tight. I've done a bit of a recap, so because it was a couple of weeks ago that I ran version part 1. So now sit back, enjoy. Only goes for 6 minutes 41. I managed to squeeze it into that, so I was quite impressed, because the first rough cut that I did, I managed to get it to about 25 minutes. So yeah, it takes a bit of work trying to cut things down, and that's out of about 3 hours of footage. So anyway, sit back, enjoy, and let's enjoy the adventures at Bendigo.
busy at the moment. I'm almost alone. Business is quiet. This is a good time to come in and get yourself a lovely spot. Jam, cream, just $2. Wonderful. There's a lot of them.
Hello everyone. That's just standard. Very much engaged. Rob over there. And then we've also got Mr. Heath over here. Say hello guys. Hey. Getting ready to leave from Bendigo. We've had a good time. I'd give that an 8.5. No worries.
For live news on the planets, cosmology, sunspots and more, every Friday at 10 p.m. Clint VK3 CSJ presents the Astronomical Society of Victoria broadcast on this amateur television repeater, VK3 RTV Channel 1.
Well. So, now, I don't know how many people know much about flying. But I'd like just to take you back to a particular point in the flight. Let's see if it'll do this. Yeah, that's not a bad view of that. So the reason why I want to point that bit out is because if you have a look at these gauges, think of the brown part as earth and the blue part as sky. That'll give you an idea of the angle that we were on to get out of those clouds. So Peter's piloting skills is fantastic, and it was very smooth getting out of them, no problems at all. And we had to go low as well, and because where we were, the ground was pretty high, and looking out, and I'm looking out the window, and I'm going, the ground's a lot closer than what I'd like it to be, but it was all right. So it was quite good, and I think John, VK3 ATV, would agree as well that it was a really good flight, and he had fun flying too. When I put in anybody can fly the plane, John is actually a pilot as well, so no problems there. No, nothing, no one harmed or anything. But yeah, so no, it was good. It was a really good trip up there, and it was an exciting trip back. So we had on the trip there, we actually had to climb to get above the clouds. But on the way back, the clouds were low and high above the ceiling that we could fly, so we had to go around. So we ended up going very much north of the city, and that's why I panned out to show a shot of the city when we had a nice clear view of the city, just to show you how north we went. Normally when we're flying back from that location, the city's on our left-hand side and very close, but in that one it wasn't. So yeah, so I hope everybody enjoyed that that little vision. Now we've got another ATV on next, and that is Peter, VK3 TLF. Hopefully his signal holds out for tonight, and he can get in without any problems. So I'm going to go to, actually just before I do, notice we've got a couple more people that have added on to Discord, which is fantastic to see. So and we've got quite a few on YouTube as well. So there's 24 on YouTube and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on Discord. So fantastic. It's good to see. So I'm glad that we're getting out there, and hopefully it'll inspire some more people to get involved in ATV. And yeah, there's plenty of people that can help, and there's plenty of resources. So it's just, and Peter's who's on next is a testament. And when you're determined enough to actually get onto ATV, you can. So yeah, anything's possible. It's just you've got to have the time, the patience, and just work on it bit by bit, and you can accomplish it. So in saying that, hopefully Peter can get on tonight, and he's going to be on after my colour bars. So thank you everyone for watching, and
Evening.
Right. Thanks, Peter, Richard, and Pete for trying. That was a valiant effort, but not quite there. Although you're in the theme, we're in the clouds, so that was great. We caught a few clouds, and nearly a few syllables of sound too, but not quite. Anyway, thanks for trying. All right. Hopefully people know that they're on RTV 2. I'll miss my dulcet tones if they don't. And confusion. All right, I might just turn that off, down. All right, well, I thought I might run a couple of segments and then I'll hand it on to Joe, VK3TET, and then John, VK3ATV, and so we'll get a second review of the flight from John, so that'd be good. I don't know if I've missed anyone, so do shout out if I have, or if there's anyone else wanting to join on RTV 1 or 2 at a late stage. All right, I might just, a couple of weeks, or be about 4 weeks ago, I think, I ran a report on Rob, RGV, working on the RGV TV repeater, a digital amateur television repeater, which is going to be sited on Mount. Is it called Mount Anarchy? Or yeah, I think it's called Mount Anarchy. Robert's call sign is VK3DGV. So what I'll do is I'll run that report just to bring people up to speed as to and a reminder of where things up to, and I've just got a supplement to that report to add. So let's take it away to what that report covered.
The VK3RGLDATV repeater project, located at Mount Anarchy, 60 kilometres west of Melbourne, has recently shared some exciting updates. Despite the winter season and shorter daylight hours slowing progress, significant advancements are expected in the coming summer. Domestic and work commitments have also impacted the timeline, but the team remains fully committed to completing the development of this software-based DATV repeater. The software has reached a milestone with the initial release version 1.0.1 for the receiving part of the repeater. This receiver can handle up to 8 DVB inputs, currently configured for dual PCIe cards supporting DVB-T, T2, DVB-S, S2, and ATSC. The receiver can be configured using a simple config YAML file. It auto-detects modulation and FEC for both DVB-T, T2, and DVB-S, S2 signals. It handles different video and audio types and selects the first service in the transport stream. The software runs on Raspberry Pi 4 and Pi 5, or Ubuntu Debian platforms. Plans are underway to port it to Pi Core 64 for resilience. The receiver outputs each received TS as a multicast TS stream using the RTP protocol. A multicast UDP tag assists with selecting the active TS stream. The source code is available on GitHub, inviting the ATV community to use and contribute to the project. Note the GitHub address. The receiver needs to tag the audio language as the modulation bandwidth need to be set to 7 MHz and the DVB-S, S2 symbol rate must set to 4 megasymbols per second. Detailed documentation will be provided for setup and configuration. Community testing and feedback are encouraged. Video tutorials and live demonstrations will be created to showcase the setup, configuration, and operation of the repeater. Engagement with the ATV community through social media, forums, and local ham radio clubs is encouraged. The VK3RGL team thanks everyone for their continued support and understanding. They look forward to feedback and contributions.
Yes, so that's that was a report, and the significance of GitHub is that it's a depository for software people, software developers, to load up and share and develop their software. So this was a segment out of last week's QO100 net, of which there's a full recording of that on my YouTube channel by coincidence. And this is just a 2-minute segment that Michael, VK, try that again, Michael, EA7KR in Spain, mentioned on the QO100 net. So I thought it was quite interesting.
I'm very happy with my efforts to build my transmitter and receiver in boxes, and they're actually working rather well. So I was thinking, well, what can I build next? I for some ridiculous reason, I thought, well, what about build a repeater? Until I realised that there's absolutely no one within 1,000 kilometres that's going to get into it. It'd only be me. So that would be a bit pointless, but nevertheless I did a little bit of research and I thought I'd read a bit about repeaters, and I stumbled on this guy in Australia, and he, judging by the date on his GitHub site, has only just begun this project maybe 4 months ago. If you want to have a look, if anybody's interested, because he's writing software for this. His GitHub address is github.com and then TV for me, with 4 spelt in English FOR, TV for me. VK3DJ is his call sign. I've forgotten his name actually. He's on QRZ, and he's designing from scratch. What is probably it sounds as though he's doing something a little bit innovative actually, I don't know. But what really caught my attention is that he's writing all the software in the language that I'm using, which is Go. And he says he chose that because it's very friendly for spinning off, synchronous Go routines, or synchronous if you prefer, whichever you want. And that's the reason he chose Go. And he says he's quite new to writing Go, and so am I. But I can tell you now, the quality of his code looks a lot better than mine. I'm quite impressed with what he's written.
So I thought that was very interesting. So that the word's getting out. Rob, and he's on YouTube, along with a few others, which I'll mention in a minute. But Rob, it's great that word's getting out, and you might be appropriate to contact Michael and see if there's any other feedback. There's a few hundred watch the QO100 net, so it's got a good coverage in Europe and South Africa, all Africa, and across into Europe, of course. So next, and of course it was part of the QO100 party. Let's not forget the party. All right. Now, just on YouTube, we've got 23 current viewers, and if I get my act together, there's 6 on Rob's BATC stream. I've disconnected from Discord due to I don't want to use too much bandwidth, and so I'm not sure. And of that status, also on YouTube is Greg, VK3QSL, Claudio, I2NDT, David, VK2DJV, and Miles. Whose course I've forgotten. He mentions that there's a Coolum Hamfest on this weekend, well, on this Saturday in the Sunshine Coast. If you're going that way, drop in. All right. I thought I might mention, well, says he, when in doubt, run a quiz. After the quiz, I'll do a close for myself and pass it on to Joe, VK3TET, and after Joe, pass it on to John, VK3ATV. So you might think about winding up the generators and getting the spark gap going, so all good. So here's a quiz, and then I'll do a closeout and pass it on to Joe. Great. So I hope you got them all right. Right, I'll do an end of transmission and pass it on to Joe, VK3TET. I'll drop transmission on the on the K audio. Catch you all. Oh, actually, I suppose I'll close the net, seeing I'm supposed to be the net control. So perhaps, John, if you pass it back to me, I'll close the net. This is VK3 Quebec Lima, passing it on to the net participant of our net this evening.
Last week we had a demonstration of the power meter, very useful device. Well, at the heart of that little power meter is this analog devices 8317. It's a little monolithic device made by Analog Devices, and it has incredible features, as you can see. We're just having a quick look at the data sheet here. Obviously you can download that yourself and go in more detail than I'm going to be doing here, but the important thing is that most of these data sheets have what's called reference designs. where there's a board layout and a typical configuration for testing the device. Most of the Chinese devices that are sold on AliExpress use these reference devices. So here's the sort of layout of the board. The one that I've got is not exactly the same, but it's pretty much there, as you can see. This is a close-up under the microscope. You can see the AD8317 right in the middle there, and it's not a bad little board because it's got quite a lot of wires on it. Very good grounding, quite stable. I'm sure that it's based on the reference design, but nevertheless they've done some differences there. So you've got an output device, and you've got power. The power is actually regulated because the device is quite sensitive for the power, so you don't want to destroy it as such. So there's a 5-volt regulator on the board. The device itself, it's quite funny. It's quite high, so you can sort of lose focus on it. It's a little device that sits on a substrate, and that substrate is actually soldered onto the board. They're not that cheap because these boards are about $7. Now, on AliExpress, $7, that's a lot of money. So I'm sure that device isn't that cheap. Anyway, let's have a look at it. We've got a demonstration. I've just hooked up the device, and we can now sort of power it up. This is no means an accurate demonstration, but it just gives you some idea. What we've got is just powering the device and measuring the voltage output. Not specifically, but just sort of seeing deviations. 5 volts into the regulator, which should be sufficient. And I've got a little Baofeng handy there just to sort of generate some RF. You can actually see the RF fluctuating a little bit, and that's just purely from whatever's going, because at the moment there's no tuned circuits or anything. It is just literally looking at the whole spectrum. When I powered up the Baofeng, it had a little bit of a jump there. I'll bring the Baofeng into the screen for a minute there so you can actually see it. Yes, it's on a 2-meter repeater frequency, but where I am located, it's not getting out anywhere, so don't worry about that. Yeah, you can see that there's quite large deviations in the voltage. So that's basically the demonstration. There's not much else that I can sort of show in this configuration. But that's what it is. It can detect RF, and it will actually provide a very accurate step voltage. I think it's minus 22 dBm per millivolt or something like that. It's in a spec sheet. So I hope you enjoyed this little video, and until next time.
Okay.
Audio's correct.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. John VK3 ATV in Williamstown. Good to see we've got so many people watching tonight. I've got a fairly quick segment compared to everybody else. I've got a 3-minute video just of a few shots of the recent meet and greet at the Amateur Radio Victoria Club Rooms. So I'll run that. That's about all I've got for tonight. Just a bit of a teaser. We'll try and sort out another meet and greet event at the Amateur Radio Victoria Club Rooms in the near future for the any ATVers and people interested in ATV, and we'll have a couple of presentations at the next one as well. So I'll run this video. I will then go straight to my thanks for watching. And Ian, do you want me to hand it to you or to the other person on RTV1?
Hand it to Peter, VK3TLF.
Okay. All right. So I will. I'll come back after my video and do a quick handover to the next person. So here is the video. Okay. So you can see we had quite a few people there for the event. Lots and lots of discussion. There was quite a bit of equipment to have a look at. A few projects that people brought along, which were very interesting. Some designs that they were hoping they'd be able to get together in the near future. So it was a good event with lots of discussion and a great venue to have it in. All right, that's it from me tonight. I'll put on my thanks for watching, and if everyone can then switch to, for those that are using set-top boxes, switch to back to RTV1. We've got Peter VK3 TLF coming back on. Looks like he's got a stable picture this time, so it'll be interesting to see what he's got. So good night everyone, and we'll see you next week. John VK3 ATV. Cheers.
A rough circuit diagram that I've mapped out in a minute. So on the left hand side there's a LM317 regulator that then sends 5 volts across through the shield on the left hand side of that red circle and then into the larger transistor there, which is a voltage follower that then sends its bias, the output of that, through to the bias of the transistor. So if I just go to the next slide, which is a rough circuit diagram, so you can see there that the output of the LM317 then goes through to the transistor, and that's the transistor in that larger middle of that other picture. Pin IC, which I'm not sure whether you noticed, and then correlate the two different pictures to let go really easily, and that's what let go in my case. So just quiet down the other computer. And so the net result is that the transistor then ends up putting out 2.7 volts out into the output transistor. And what really takes out the bias circuit is when the transistor goes, the main PA, it all goes dead short circuit, so it then sends 21 to 24 volts back down at the base, so then right back down the bias circuit. And in my case, as noted here, I had 21 volts coming back down the bias circuit and on that IC, and it didn't like it very much. So I've done this modification to the circuit. I've looked at it and worked this out. So you can just add a $2.50 25 turn trim pot in that circuit. So that 330 ohm resistor that goes from the 8-pin chip to the base of that transistor, that voltage follower transistor, you just remove that resistor and then just put a 25 turn 1K trim pot between that part of the circuit and ground, and then tune that up so you've got about half an amp quiescent current through the transistor, through from CBE, C to E, sorry. Now do note that the fan, if the fan's running in it, you need to measure the current before you do this, because the fan itself will draw about 150, 200 milliamps by itself when it's running. So I'll move on to the I've got for you. So here's a close-up view of the bias circuit in the amplifier, and these are the primary parts that we're concerned about. So you'll notice on the left-hand side, that's that 8-pin chip that tends to let go also as soon as the transistor does. And in the middle there at the bottom, you can barely see it at the bottom of the circle, that's the 330 ohm or 300 ohm SMD resistor that goes to that 8-pin chip. So that one need to remove out, so there's no link between that 8-pin chip and the bias circuit. For me, I removed the 8-pin chip as well because it was suspect and I didn't want the thing going up in smoke later on when I put the cover back on and then having to pull it back off anyway. So I worked out that the tracks on the side there there's one track that goes to the bias, the drive input to that voltage follower transistor, and the other track conveniently is grounded. So it makes it really easy to put in a 1K trim pot between those 2 points, and then suddenly you've then got a bias circuit that will not let go very easily for you. So if I go on to the next slide without going on about it too long. So here's the net result. You can see there that I also cleaned up the tracks after this on the left hand side, so it looks a bit messy. But I've just put a 1K 25 turn trim pot between the side of the unit and that bias and the input to that voltage follower transistor there that's in the middle of the picture, the larger SMD one. And then you can then adjust that circuit to this, then have the 500 milliamps of quiescent current through the transistor, which is the recommended current for those transistors to get them performing at a fairly linear format, because if you have a low bias level, your linearity is going to be fairly bad, so you want to maximise that so you get the best linearity out of it. So which one am I on? Just go to the next slide. So that's a little bit out of focus, but that's the overall look of view of the unit after the fact. I also did clean up the solder work a bit after that too. And then this is the net result at the end. There was still more tuning to do on the amplifier that I haven't done yet, but the net result is on the right hand side, that's the meter measuring the current. The amplifier, it does take a bit of drive, probably about half a watt to get it really going. So I only drove it at a small amount, but you can see there I've got 200 milliamps going through the China amplifier at this, and then 10 amps through it, so it is functional again with that BIOS circuit in play. So yeah, that's the net result anyway. And just to quickly show that circuit again, that's that circuit. So yeah, just all it took was a $2.50 25 turn 1K trim pot, and then you can then fix the BIOS circuit and get a lot more rugged. So then the trim pot's not going to care if it has 20 odd volts across it, being 1K. So it's unlikely to let go, and at least if you do pop another transistor, you can just replace the transistor and you don't have to worry about the BIOS circuit. All right.
Right, thanks for that, Pete. That was excellent. There's been a lot of those Lucent amplifiers around. The sort of the in thing about 10 years ago, I believe, and I've even got one here. So you've done some great work there on being able to diagnose what's happening and have a fix. So that's great. We just towards the end there we lost you, but we didn't get your close out, but we got all the information up to the end. So that was great. All right. Without any further ado, I shall close the net. I might as well close on the roll call. Says he looking for it, and yeah, it's a great net. Lots of varied topics and lots of great hard information. So that's excellent. And so thanks all the participants, and yeah, we've kept the viewers going on YouTube. So that's one source, and so I'm sure it's reflected through the other mediums and channels that are being used. So thank you for watching the Repeaters Net on Tuesday night, and Neil should be back next week. So I'll close with what I'll call the roll call. Lucy's wants to get her 5 seconds of fame, and then we'll do the list of stations.